Hey, Jake's back and he's got his own show. He's on the mic and he's ready to go. Noodle on his left, Jess on his right. Hey, hold up, don't start a fight. He's got you covered with all the sports. Don't fret, he's wearing shorts. It's time for Waking Jake in the morning, Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.
Woo! Woo! What is going on, Bakers? Happy December 12th to you as we talk some baseball, some New York Mets as they are on the mind, and a little football recap. And so funny, YouTube just recommended a heartwarming people take a abscess out of an elephant's foot. So maybe we'll cover that later. But for now, let's talk some New York Metropolitans because there's a ton of baseball. There's still a ton of signings. We're playing catch-up on talking baseball for a ton of signings we haven't done yet. But I think the Mets are the story because, they locked up Edwin Diaz to start the offseason. They lost some of their rotation. What were they going to do there? DeGrom was a free agent. Nimmo kept talking about how much of a big bag I thought he was going to get. The comparisons went from like $100 million to Ellsbury to he ends up landing at 8 years. But most importantly, with the New York Mets. And they also signed Senga, the pitcher from Japan. A little mad doggy there. Didn't love that. Senga, a pitcher from Japan. He'll be pitching for the Mets. So, couple things. They signed Justin Verlander. You remember about that. DeGrom for Verlander. You could do that debate all day between the different contracts. Age, how good are they? I'll let you run laps on that on your own time. Scherzer's back. Senga is in. The soon-to-be 30-year-old. We will see. I mean, again, I think it's funny. My guy Jom and Jom.com, I think he'll be talking about it on Talking Baseball in a little bit. He's pretty skeptical about Senga because they have a smaller ball over there, so everyone throws like a forkball splitter, and the ball over here is a little bigger, so it doesn't work as well. Hey, man, I have no idea. And then in the same sentence, he compared him to Tanaka, who Tanaka was like Jimmy's favorite pitcher ever. So let's see what Senga is. I have no idea. I mean, the fact that he got, what were the numbers, Beeb? Is it 5 for 85?
85, yeah.
5 for 85. So I don't know. I mean, that's more.
And I think was expected more.
Right. I guess that's where I'm in an interesting spot with it because the Senga floor ceiling is obviously wider. We do this with any sport. We do this with the NBA draft. We do it with international players in baseball because we don't know. If Senga pitches like his stats in Japan, that contract would be a steal. If Senga is not the same pitcher over here, it would be awful.
It's actually even more of a steal, 75.
Look at that. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting because it's going to be compared to kind of that tier of starting pitcher this free agency, the Taijuan Walker, who they're losing, Jameson Taillon, who was on the Yankees that, they got 4-year deals. Taillon with the Cubs there. Bassett still a free agent, so it's Senga for. So if you're playing, how are your Mets at home? Verlander in for DeGrom. Okay, I mean compared to last year, that should be an upgrade for them over 162. They only got DeGrom for so much of the season, and he was rehabbing while he was doing it, basically. Senga for Bassett, that could be a loss. I mean, that could not be great. Chris Bassett, underrated, still a free agent, right? Rumors of a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see where he goes. What's he gonna do?
Someone will bite.
Right? It's either
he's been good for a little while now.
And it's either like, man, it's either going to be one of the big boys or it's going to be like, I hate that we use this as an example for our friend Trevor, but like twins ace Chris Bassett.
Yeah, someone brings him in to kickstart the long-term health of a rotation, which Bassett would help. But
Be our guy. So all right. I mean, the Mets, their pitching staff, it's a really good rotation. It's Verlander, Scherzer, Senga, Carrasco, Quintana. Don't forget they brought him in. They signed him to a nice contract. The Heen dog, basically 2 for 24. Quintana, go look at his Baseball Reference. You'd be really surprised how good of a career he's had. And the whole thing of last year's deal, he took the 1-year contract, built himself up after some injuries. He pitched really good, Pittsburgh and St. Louis. As your 5 starter, you love Jose Quintana. You're going to get an MLB performance out of him. 10 years in the league, the knowledge on this pitching staff between Verlander, Scherzer, Carrasco, and Quintana, it'll be interesting to see how the contrast between veteran experience and health during the season, and just, if any of those guys do have the decline. At Carrasco, people kind of thought his decline was happening. He's bounced back pretty good. Quintana will be 34, Scherzer 38, Verlander's going to be 40, with Kodai, am I saying that? Kodai?
I believe so.
Kodai Senga. Edwin Diaz, they signed Dave Robertson. They tried to sneak that one past us, too. They traded for Brooks Raley.
Literally right after Nimmo.
Right.
Really
passing with
snuck in.
back-to-back tweets. That was pretty good. Nimmo comes back. Brandon Nimmo, their leadoff hitting center fielder, which the reason I'm driving that home is because that is an incredibly valuable ball player. In fact, 8 years, $162 million, over $20 million a year for 8 years of Brandon Nimmo. My God, I mean, a guy that, again, when you start mentioning Mets players over the past 5-6 years, I don't know, Nimmo's not at the tip of your tongue. You're like the guy that sprints to first after walks, and I don't know, he's been hurt a lot. Well, he performed crazy. He's gotten so much better in center field. He's a 5-WAR player. Timed free agency perfectly. And, man, I originally said Blue Jays. Blue Jays have a Toronto tax of players. There's actual taxes up there that are hard, but to live in a foreign country, although it's Canada and it's, a lot of same but different, that's a big ask for a lot of guys. And with the fact that these contracts, the Xander Bogaerts for 11 years, Nimmo for 8, Fangraphs had Nimmo 5 for 100. Tack on 3 years to that. They had Bogaerts 6 for 168. Tack on 5 years for that. This free agency has been nuts, which in an overpay free agency, I think that's been a bad break for the Blue Jays. Because I think they kind of naturally have to overpay. So you can't overpay the overpay, where the Blue Jays, they haven't been able to do anything really. And if you're the Mets, you have to be on cloud 9, man. How many times do ownership groups and crews come in and, obviously things are going to be different and we want to play for championships? Steve Cohen, the Cohen tax, as it's being called, he's just flying past it. I think they're going to be paying like $400 million
ish, yeah.
With the taxes and stuff. I think they're in tax alone, they currently would be above 4 MLB teams in what they're paying. Yankee fans have been kind of hoping for this for a little while. Like, how many times, BBD, have we done on Talking Yanks hey, if you're going over the tax, let's blow it open, right?
No sense being a little over it.
Let's go nuts. And that never happened. And now here, the New York Mets, crosstown, they flew past it. No one was really sure. I mean, last offseason was a test of sorts. They went out and they got Scherzer. They paid him the most amount of money. They recruited him. They brought him in. We're like, all right, New York Mets. I mean, Lindor, Scherzer, okay. This was the first question mark, because when DeGrom left, it was like, okay, how are they gonna fill that in? Well, they went for Verlander, who could very easily be a better contract and better pitcher over a given year. And then they kept going. And Gonna say who knows if they're done. We're assuming they're kind of done. But a Mets team that won a lot of baseball games last year. They won 101, same as the Braves. Jesus. Lost the division. That was a whole thing. There's a chance they've gotten better. I think you can strongly say they haven't gotten worse. I mean, we'll see. Baseball season injuries. If Senga's terrible and Scherzer's hurt worst week of the season, that rotation, begins to look not like a strength. I'm interested to see if they do anything else. Right now, Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, McNeil, you love that. Canna, you love what he does for a baseball team. Vogelbach, Eddie Escobar, in a given year, a given month, those guys can give you some good run. The catching situation's still interesting. It's Nito and McCann. McCann has fallen out of favor with a lot of Mets fans. I know they're still hoping to kind of trade him. But I don't think there's really anything they could do there unless they did like the Sean Murphy trade. How fun would that be? Or Francisco Alvarez making the full-blown jump. If we're talking about Mets come October next year, that's a guy that you're probably penning in, catching, DH, something like that. The New York Mets are here, and I hope it, selfishly, I hope it pushes the Yankees to kind of go to the next level with their spending, because they just cleared it they just gave Judge that massive contract. Now the rumors came out on that are that Judge said part of him signing was that Hal needed to ensure that they were going to sign more people. They said that went down. All eyes are on Rodon. We keep getting the mystery team tweets from our guy John Heyman. So we'll see what that is. But if you're a Mets fan, I mean, who are the Wilpons?
Yeah.
Yapes. To now go to Uncle Stevie. I mean, they're getting rid of the Metsy, man. Like, Cohen has pitched a perfect game from an owner perspective bringing in dudes, and Buck Showalter to clean up the rest of the actual shop. The Mets kind of aren't Metsy.
Means something else now.
Everyone wants to be the Mets. And the Mets, what they did, they got themselves some BetterHelp. Make sure you go check out BetterHelp and take care of your mentals with BetterHelp. You deserve to feel your best, and BetterHelp makes it easiest. It's the world's largest therapy service. Wow, how about that? They match millions of people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. All benefits of in-person therapy. Plus, it's more convenient, more accessible, and affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire. They match you with a therapist, and if it ain't clicking, you switch over, because you're going to want to be with a therapist you want to connect with and talk to. I went to a comedy show thing this weekend, and they did like a little crowdsourcing, and they were like, "Oh, they asked about therapy," and chick was like, "Yeah, I go to therapy," and she's like, "How do you like it?" And she's like, "Well, it's not great. I don't feel like I can be open with them." And comic was like, "Well, that's kind of the whole point." Mm-hmm. So maybe
therapist you trust and should
have connected them to BetterHelp. Go to BetterHelp.com/Jake. BetterHelp.com/Jake. Save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com. There should be a link in the description there. Good for the Mets.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. Good for the Mets. Yankees go get Rodon. A lot of other baseball stuff. Check out Talking Baseball. And we'll probably have some more updates here as they come. Hopefully some Rodon news. Who else is there? Who else is left? The shortstops. Dansby just got married. Congrats. Kelsey Wingard at the wedding.
Yeah, I was talking with my dad about it. Kind of the biggest three free agents, I think, are just Rodon and Correa, Dansby. Right?
Yeah.
They're the high impact guys.
Right. Because, you're a team that talk themselves into Drury, Benintendi, and Bassett can be factors, impact guys. In Profar.
Depends on what role you want for your team, but anyone's happy to have them.
Gene Segura. There's a couple meaty ones left, and then we're going to be, a couple teams rounding out on the whole, but a lot of the big movement happened. What good winter meetings for baseball. So we'll circle up on some more baseball later in the week. For now, let's go to the football.